You know, the F2 feature race was pretty good in my opinion. I enjoyed watching it a lot. I watched it live this time. And now that I've gotten everything done, now these are my rankings. From 0 to 10, like normal. And let's get right into 22nd. Alex Dunn finished 22nd in the feature race, and that was one of the worst things I have ever seen in Formula 2. He got an amazing launch off the line, but it was so bad after he passed Stenshorn, and then braked right in front of him, and got himself and Martini Stenshorn out of the race. Then proceeded to blame Stenshorn. How fun. But I think he deserves a 1. Let's move on to 21st. In 21st, it is Martini Stenshorn, who did get into the incident with Alex Dunn, of course. He also had a very good start, in my opinion, but with the incident with Alex Dunn, he wasn't at fault, so I can't exactly give him much of a rating, but it also can't be too low. So I think he deserves a 4 for this performance today. Let's move on to number 20th. Dino Beganovic was in 20th. He had an awful start, but then later on lap 17, he had the DNF because of his engine. But he did make some very brave moves through the race. Now as he DNF'd, I can't give him too high of a score, but he still did race a decent enough. So I'm going to give him a 4 for this performance, and let's move on to 19th. Number 19th is Kean Shields. I can't stand this man right now. I mean, he gets another 0, in my opinion. He's just Kean Shields. He was 11th after the safety car with super fresh softs, and he fell down the order, went wide on the grass, and finished 15 seconds behind John Bennett. That is awful. Now, let's move on to number 18 before I want to go crazy. Number 18, John Bennett. Now, this is just like the sprint race where he didn't do anything good or didn't do anything bad during it. So I can't exactly give him a low amount of points, but I also can't give him too many points in my opinion. But I feel like he deserves a 3-pointer, as he did finish ahead of Kean Shields, and it was a pretty average race, but not good. Let's move on to number 17. Number 17, Nicholas Varone. Now, Varone had the perfect chance to take it away and win it after the safety car, with super fresh softs, and he was in first. But on the first lap, he got overtaken by Nikola Solov, and he also got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane and fell all the way down somehow. I don't even know how, it's a bit embarrassing. But he does deserve 1 point for this. Let's move on to number 16. You know, it was a pretty bad race for Kushmani, but it mainly wasn't his fault, and some of it was his fault, as he did stall it in the pit lane, but he just did not have a good race overall, so I think a 2 is fair in my opinion. But I do think a 3 is possible. Some people might argue that, but I think a 2 in my opinion. Now, as we move on to number 15. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. in 15th didn't exactly do much. It's just like the sprint race, but I did do better than John Bennett, who got 3 points, so I think it's very fair that he gets 4 instead, as he didn't do anything bad, he also didn't do anything good. But let's move on to number 14. Noel Leon is an interesting case, as he did have a lap 1 incident with Ollie Goethe that broke his car slide a bit and caused him to finish down lower. But I do think the incident was his fault in my opinion, and I do think he deserves a 3 for this race, as it just was not good for him. Let's move on to number 12. Mary Boyer had a lot better feature race than the sprint race. He did make up quite a few positions during the race to finish in a decent enough positions, but it's not in the points. So I think a 5 is fair enough in my opinion, but people could change it. I did have it originally as I think it was a 6, surprisingly, but I changed it down because it was mainly people at the top failing. But let's move on to number 11. I realised I've messed the numbers up for the past 2 ones, but who cares when number 12 is in fact Roman Belinsky. He also did nothing good or bad in the race, just like usual, but he did better in position than John Bennett. But that is what I think about Roman Bolinsky from this race. As we move on to number 11. Actually, Rafael Villagomez took 11th in this race, and he gained quite a few positions, and just didn't get involved in many incidents. I feel like that's a very good drive, as he did gain some positions from the start, mainly because people up the top failed, but I think he deserves a 5 for this performance, as I feel like it was very mid. But let's move on to top 10. Joshua Dirksen. He finished in 10th, but it was a horrific start for him with a stall and a jump start. He fell all the way to the back, but had an amazing recovery drive and drove to 10th place in the end. I can't give him higher than a 4 for this, because obviously he's kind of fumbled a small bit. I think a 4 is very fair for his recovery, but also the horrific start. All mixed together. As we move on to number 9. Sebastian Montoya had a race that wasn't as good as the sprint race, but he still got his first points of the season with around 6 overtakes during the race, a lot of those being the people at the front, of course. But I feel like this is a more above average performance from Sebastian Montoya today, so I'll give him 6 points for this. So move on to number 8. This is going to be very good. Gabriele Mie, I think, deserves 8 points for this performance. He didn't do as well the sprint race, but he secured still a double points finish from a stellar drive from 21st on the grid. But I feel like he's going to be very impressive this season, and he can do a lot if he can get from 21st to 6th and 8th in one weekend. But let's move on to number 7. Honestly, I think I can put these next 2 drivers right next to each other, as it is Tassanapol Thruvasak and Colton Herta. I didn't really notice either of them during the race, as they were just invisible, gaining positions, because of everything else that was happening up there. Both of them, very decent though, but I do think a 6 is deserving for both of those 2 drivers. Let's move on to 5th position. In 5th position is Ritomo Miyata, and he's being very impressive. Just this race, this whole entire weekend alone has been impressive for him, in my opinion. I feel like he can get a lot done during the year. I will take everything back about him being mid, because he's very impressive right now. That's all I can say, and that's all I can even say. But as I breathe, it's a 7 in my opinion, and let's move over to 4th position. Ollie Goethe takes 4th, and it wasn't a good start because he collided with Noel Leon for a second, which left Leon falling and Goethe down a few positions. He's very consistent during the race and almost got a podium, and it's a lot better than what he did in the sprint race with spinning out. But he's very consistent, and I think a 7 is what he deserves. And let's move on to 3rd place. Laurens van Hopen made Trident be on the podium since 2024, from 11th place on the grid. He made so many amazing moves at the start and at the end as well. He's very impressive as well, just like Miyata as well. But I think he deserves an 8 over Miyata's 7, because I feel like Van Hopen did better this race than Miyata. Let's move on to 2nd place. In 2nd, it is Rafael Camara, who took advantage of Dunn and Stenchon when they collided, and chasing down Solov, but after the safety car when Solov passed Verone, Camara got stuck behind Verone, while Solov was gaining an advantage, basically, because of that. So, Camara, I think, deserves 7 points here. Did very well, but just couldn't get it finished in the end, unfortunately. And let's move on to 1st place. In 1st place, it is in fact Nikola Solov, with after the collision of Dunn and Stenchon. He was 1st afterwards, and he took advantage as well as he can, but he only lost it because of a safety car. He did instantly take it back from Verone after the safety car, even though Verone was on super soft tyres that were very fresh. Solov, I think, deserves an 8 for this race, as he did do very well. Let's move on to the standings. As you can see on the left side here, that is everyone's finishing place and what points they got this race. You can see everything that's different there. But on the right side, that is the whole entire standings as of current, as the weekend finishes. It's Gabriele Mini with 17 points ahead of Miata with 14, Van Hopen with 13, Tassanapon Trufsak with 13 as well, Montoya with 13, Dirksen with 12, and at the very bottom, it's Cian Shields. Who else would it have been? Tell me. If you liked this video, just why don't you support me, give me a like, try and beat the channel average. Yes, I can't figure out why it's bugged, it is still bugged somehow, but if you also enjoyed it, if you want to subscribe, go ahead, because we're going to be doing one of these every single time an F2 race comes out. Let's go, and I'll see you in the next ranking.